In this video, I'm going to give you my new and improved method so that you can quickly and easily farm Crusader formulas and make thousands of gold in the process, with two brand new additions that make this farm way easier than anyone knew was possible. I'll show you the rune combination, talent builds for different gear levels, and then we'll take a look at the farm itself. From getting into the tower unseen, how to pull mobs one by one, the best rotation for kills, and what to do when things go badly so that you don't have to corpse run. So you're going to make your way to the northern area of Western Plaguelands, to this watchtower by the road just southeast of Hearthglen. We're going to be killing Scarlet Spellbinders until we loot the formula for Enchant Weapon Crusader. Here's a screenshot of one of my sales. I found 3 so far across multiple sessions with a total farm time of around 8 hours. The 2 new consumables I mentioned are Frost Protection Potion and Mind Numbing Poison. Frost potions and the mats required to make them are pretty cheap. Buy a couple of stacks or craft them yourself. Just make sure that you've done the quest so that you can get the extra procs or find someone who has. I only use these in emergencies, but if you're just learning this method, I'd recommend popping the pot before you pull. Being able to absorb a few frost bolts frees you up to learn the rotation and environmental awareness required for this farm. Also, if you accidentally pull 2 mobs, you have a much better chance at survival. Without these pots, it's usually vanish or death. Mind Numbing Poison is incredible. It's defensive and offensive. Adding 50% more time to their cast gives you 50% more time to attack, regain energy from an interrupt, or heal with a bandage. It slows everything down in your favor and makes the farm a lot easier. But remember that like all your attacks, poisons don't hit higher level targets often, so keep a stack of 20 in your bag and put 1 on each weapon. You want your target poisoned as soon as possible and you don't want it to fall off. Superior healing potions share a cooldown with frost protection potions, but you'll want a stack on hand anyway. There's a melee patrol that you'll be running into at some point, and the spellbinders usually hit you between their frostbolts. These were all I ever used before I remembered that I could use frost pots, but you'll still need them, so bring them. They sell for around 15 silver each on my server, which is about 1 gold less than major healing potions, and it's usually enough to keep you alive if you had a bad combat RNG. Bring a stack of Thistle Tea. It's 100 energy when you need it, it doesn't share a cooldown with the pots, it's going to save your life, and it's super cheap to make. Heavy runecloth bandages are best used after a gouge, a 5-point kidney shot, or a blind. Just make sure that the ability is actually hit before you start to cast bandage. Bring some stacks of food. You'll be eating after every pull, and you don't want to waste your bandages. I can't tell you how annoying it is to have to end a good flow early because you forgot to bring food and you ran out of bandages too quickly. For runes, I use Combat Potency in the head slot as I have a 1.3 speed dagger in my offhand. If you have something slow, you might want to use Honor of Thieves instead. In the chest, I would recommend just a flesh wound. This is solely for the 6% reduced chance to be critically hit. Deadly Brew is not a good choice. Most of your attacks won't hit and your poisons simply won't stack up, being less than 2% of my overall damage over a couple of hours of grinding. However, if you do have even a single deadly poison tick on the target, it's going to break your gouge and your blind, which can cost you your bandage and often results in a corpse run. Carnage gives your Mutilates a 20% boost and Rupture hits quite well, so you'll be using it as a staple in your rotation. Mutilate, for some unknown but very welcome reason, hits higher level mobs more often than any other ability, and it will account for between 70 to 80% of your total damage. Quite simply, this farm wouldn't be possible without Mutilate, so you can see why Carnage is such a strong choice. Shadow Step allows you to enter the tower without wasting your Vanish, and it will save your life when Vanish is on cooldown. Quickly disengage from combat by shadow stepping to a nearby mob, then running away with the 70% increased speed. You can even do this on the mob you're fighting. Blade Dance gives you 10% parry for 14 seconds on a single combo point, which is great defensive value when you need it. It's also the only option for your legs. Envenom is useless without Deadly Brew, and Between the Eyes shares a cooldown with Kidney Shot, but gives less stun time per point. It's worse for bandaging and for the extra damage that you deal to mobs while they're stunned. Waylay is very powerful. Your Mutilate benefits from backstab abilities, so this is always up on your target. You'll be taking less damage from their melee, and Spellbinders do melee between frostbolts, as well as inflicting a 50% slow on your target, which makes getting away in emergencies a lot easier. Moving on to talents. In the top left is a standard Mutilate raiding spec that I've been using simply because I didn't want to change talents back and forth between raids, and my gear is good enough that I can get away with it. but if you're learning this method or your gear isn't great, you should use one of these other specs. Bottom left is the strongest build for this farm. We pick up 5% crit from Malice, extra combo points from Ruthlessness, extra energy from Relentless Strikes, and a 30% increased critical damage to Mutilate. This is the best from the Assassination tree. In combat, we pick up 5% dodge, 5% hit, 30% Mutilate crit chance, 1.5 minute reduction to our evasion and sprint cooldowns, and another 5% crit to daggers. And in subtlety, we pick up a flat 20% increase to Mutilate. If you didn't already know, you don't actually have to be behind the target to get this benefit. Top right goes full combat to gain access to the very powerful Blade Flurry and Adrenaline Rush combo. From Assassination, we lose the energy regen, extra combo points, and the 30% crit damage bonus, but we gain full bandage casts from a longer gouge, plus 5 dagger skill, which is insane for your hit rating, 5% more parry, and access to Riposte. This ability only costs 10 energy, procs whenever you parry, think Blade Dance, deals 150% weapon damage, and disarms the target for 6 seconds. The gift that keeps on giving, and you can macro it to your Mutilate so it will always cast when available. I'll leave that macro in the description for you. This final build is actually my favorite, even though we don't use it for fighting. With dual spec, you can swap into this to gain access to some incredibly powerful situational tools. Preparation allows you to reset your cooldowns every 10 minutes. I always switch over to this after I have needed to vanish or have used all other cooldowns in a big fight. Then I just switch back and pull the next mob. Master of Deception reduces the chance that we're seen in stealth. Useful for getting into the tower, but also for many other stealth farms in the game. Improved Sap gives us a 90% chance to stay in stealth after use. This can be used on Cavalier Durgan, the mob that patrols from the top of the tower to the bottom. When he's coming down the stairs and there are mobs below, you can quickly change specs, distract, sap, and move up the stairs away from danger. Also, Camouflage increases our speed while stealth, which is great for stealth farming in general, and I can't wait to share more of the farms I have for you when the next phase hits. When moving toward the tower, you should try to mark Cavalier Durgan if he's on the ramp outside. There's another patrol that walks around the tower, and if you mark him as well, you're going to thank yourself later. Come up around the edge of the wall, making sure to stay behind the mobs. There are 2 items that are going to help you here. The Filcher's Cowl and the Emerald Leather Sabatons. They increase your effective stealth level. Have a look on Wowhead for them. We want to target the furthest, Spellbinder. Quickly walk out and shadow step before we're seen. With a little bit of practice, you'll get this down in no time. But you may have to vanish a few times. I know that I still do. However, if you switch to the spec that I previously mentioned, and you get those items, that's going to happen less and less. Make your way up the tower until you reach the furthest platform from the ground, the one closest to the stairs leading to the roof. There are 3 spellbinders in a triangle. They move around in little circles, and you want to wait until 2 of them are as far away from the other as possible. Always start with this one on the floor. I'm waiting for the one by the door to move toward the door. These spellbinders move around a lot. They're quite erratic. So you need to be patient and you need to pick your pulls. Take your time, learn the distances, or you'll be vanishing, you'll be sprinting, and you'll be corpse running. After pulling, make sure that you tuck yourself into the corner of this platform so that you lost the spellbinder and they run either up to the platform or onto the first step just before the platform. When you have them on the platform or they're on the step, you can start to engage. You're going to be hitting them with mutilates. You're going to be getting 4 or 5 point ruptures, more mutilates, saving up for a 5-point kidney shot, more mutilates, ruptures, more mutilates, kidney shots, and that's it. My second target is always the spellbinder by the door. Be careful and make sure that you've marked the patrol that circles around the tower. You might notice in this video that while I have told you to use mind-numbing poison and frost protection potions, I'm not actually using any. I simply wanted to get this video out as quickly as I could, and I've been very busy with other things. I simply haven't gotten around to recording any new footage. When you're pulling, you should always try to distract one of the mobs. It usually resists, but it's a good idea to do it anyway. If it hits, it'll keep them in place longer and give you a better window of time to pull safely. Here you can see that I come out of stealth, and that's enough to pull the mob closer to the door. I simply run back to my position, into the corner, wait for him to come up the stairs, and attack. If things go badly, if you pull 2 or Cavalier Durgan comes down the stairs or up the stairs, or if you move too close to the ledge and the spellbinders below see you and come up while you're fighting one of them, you can vanish, or you can sprint to the top of the tower, jump over the edge, outside of the wall, landing on the ground, and keep moving away from the tower. You can shadow step also behind the target that you're fighting to get that 70% boost, but always go up the tower if you're sprinting away, because going down the tower means the 2 guards on the ramp are going to hit you and usually daze you. Once you've killed the 3rd spellbinder on the floor downstairs, you can jump down, and then you can attack them one by one as they respawn. You should still pull them up the stairs, because if any new ones respawn while you're fighting, it's going to be a corpse run for you. We can see here that we've got Cavalier Durgan coming up the stairs. You can fight him and kill him, he's not that difficult. But if you don't want to do that, you should stealth up to this platform, wait for him to come around, and just as he's coming up around the corner and into sight, you can jump over. If you do it too early, he can see you, pop you out of stealth, and attack. If you don't know what you're doing, it might be a corpse run. I'm going to link a little bit of footage here from a kill that I got where I looted Crusader, and that's the end of the video from me, guys. I hope that you find many Crusaders. If you find any, please leave it in the comments below. If you have any questions about this farm whatsoever, let me know. I have another farm coming up where I have been killing 57 and 58 elites who have a chance to drop an item that's worth substantially more than Crusader, and I'm going to be releasing that video in the next coming days. If you liked the video, like the video. If you learned something, you could say thank you by subscribing. Alright, that's it from me, guys. Happy hunting. See you in the next one.